Now, with more Super Bowl in your life.
Yeah. Guess where I am? Where in the world is Mace?
Andrew Mason on the case. You got some freaking fire miles, buddy.
I come bearing gifts. I'll show them to you when the countdown ends and we're on camera.
Oh,
or they were gifts for me, I should say.
Okay, nice. Nice little swag bag. Super Bowl.
I wouldn't call it that. But some snacks.
All right.
Yeah, setting the scene here from Radio Row, Mandalay Bay Convention Center, Las Vegas, Nevada. Or are we actually in Paradise, Nevada, I think, technically.
Yeah. We're in Paradise because we're talking to you, Mace, live on the scene at the Super Bowl.
Check this out. This was waiting.
None of that is good for you.
Of course not. It's, but it's tasty. I mean, we got cookies here. What do we got here?
The popcorn may not be
Cheetos, popcorn.
Yeah.
Cookies. Hey, 2 bottles of water. Okay.
That's good for you.
Yeah, but Super Bowl week from a media perspective is it's kind of a feast. You know, they're just tossing food at you, you know. And they wonder why we all have weight problems. Well, not all of us, most of us. I mean, and it's free and we're working. I mean, that's the thing. You're working, a week like this, you're working hard. And
you're constantly working. And downpour. I saw Romy Bean posting from Vegas, and she was in a downpour doing an outside shot. So, good thing you're inside, Mace.
So I'm on the tarmac this morning. We've pulled away from the gate, so it's an on-time departure, right? And the captain comes on the cockpit and says that there's temporary, ground stop in Vegas. It's raining. Think of all the stuff that DIA keeps going with, right?
Right.
It was snowing on Saturday, right? DIA kept on going. Rain, and they shut this place down for 20 minutes. What the heck? Come on. Be better. Be better, Vegas.
Be better, Las Vegas, and be better, mocksters. Although when Daniel Jeremiah has Drake Maye falling in his most recent mock draft, that is a name we both respect and appreciate, a dear friend. And it's something like, okay, you and I heard in Texas, Daniels may be the number 2 and May may be after that. Now, after that doesn't mean falling to me, Mace.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit bold when people are saying Drake May's falling. Like, no, I just think people are realizing that Daniels could be quite tasty at number 2. And we got some interesting things to go over with the Commanders there as well.
Well, part of it is with Jaden Daniels. Even though the team fell short in the AFC Championship game, with a quarterback who is dynamic and slight of build as a dual threat quarterback, we have a success template that is out there, right? Lamar Jackson. So to say you can't succeed, that you can't win, that you can't be a perennial contender with a dual threat quarterback who isn't built more stoutly, that's false. I mean, basically, I think a reason why we're talking about Jaden Daniels being so high, it's not just because of the quality of Jaden Daniels, the prospect, which I think is obvious. I think part of it is now, most teams don't want to be the first one through the window because the first one always gets their nose bloodied, right? Baltimore kind of was. And Lamar Jackson's about to be a 2-time MVP in 6 seasons in the league. So that tells you you can get great results from a quarterback who maybe a generation ago would not have been as successful because teams would not have known how to use him in quite the same way.
Yeah, and I say this with all due respect to Caleb Williams, who's got elite talent and elite skill. I could easily make the argument that Drake May is the best fit for Sean Payton. So if May is falling, Mace, good. Go get him.
Look, I mean, it's funny because different opinions are out there. There a bunch of mock drafts dropped today, and you can actually read about them at denversports.com. But there was one that had Jaden Daniels dropping all the way to 8. Now, I don't buy that. But it's really, I think, important to have the conversation of what if one of these three quarterbacks does not go in the first three picks. The Broncos need to be positioned to move up. I mean, if somehow let's say the Broncos decide, okay, we're not going all the way at 3, but pick 6 rolls around and Daniels or May are on the board. I think we know Caleb Williams is not going to drop that far. I think we can accept that. But if pick 5, pick 6 comes up and Daniels or May is there, then all of a sudden you can make that deal without having to sacrifice the best player on your roster. And that's I put it out there on social media, and I'm probably going to do a poll for it over the next few days. Cease, like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer what's better? A Broncos roster with Drake Maye, but without PS2 and without draft capital, or a Broncos roster with a young quarterback, either from 12 or pick or second round or third round, but keep your draft capital and you keep PS2? It's a valid question. But if May is sitting there, say, at pick 6, or Jaden Daniels is sitting there at pick 6, then you might have to sacrifice some draft capital, but not nearly as much as you would have to get in the top 3, and you might be able to keep PS2 as well. In other words, there's a scenario where you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, there's a third option on that. It's like, don't have to trade PS2 and still get Drake Maye. And again, I'm here for it because Spencer Rattler's not the guy. Okay, I don't want to be mean.
He's a nice day 3 flyer.
Kellen Mond, Kyle Lauletta, hell, Davis Webb was MVP of the Senior Bowl. So I know Dak Prescott was, and I know Justin Herbert was, because we were there, Mace. But this whole talk now, like Spencer Rattler, and I get it, and God bless the young man. You and I both talked to him at the Senior Bowl. I like him as like a day 3 pick, developmental guy, but I don't see him as the future of the Broncos or really any team.
I will say this, though. This is a young man who has grown a great deal. I think for a lot of people, the exposure to him was back on QB1 when he was coming through high school.
Right.
And it wasn't a positive look, but the dude was in high school, okay? The guy that I saw last week, mature, humble, intelligent. So I came away kind of not only asking a few questions, listening to him answer questions of others as well, but also watching the way he was with teammates and even seeing him at South Carolina the last couple of seasons. I believe you have a guy who has answered those questions that were lingering, and now it's just about him as a quarterback prospect. Day 3, hey, the Broncos don't pick a quarterback in round 1, don't pick a quarterback on day 2. All right. Spencer Rattler, round 4, sure.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I think the risk-reward ratio, I should say, it's about right for Spencer Rattler at that point.
Yeah, I feel like how I feel about Rattler the way I did about Sam Howell, a player that you and I both appreciated as a day 3 pick.
Well, I would have picked him in day 2. I think I would have the conversation about Howell as early as round 2. I'll admit that.
Okay. I would say more 3 or 4, but hey, that's where he went off the board. So we're in that conversation of, if you don't take a quarterback early, you will have options, but people are hyping up Rattler a little too much now.
I gotta say this. I mean, I admit I do believe in Sam Howell's skill set. If you didn't draft a quarterback round 1 and Washington did, you could talk me into Sam Howell. I'm not saying give him the job. You could talk me into Sam Howell somewhere in that quarterback room as somebody you think can get better, right?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying you hand him the job, but let's say the room ends up being Jimmy Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham. Would I like to have Sam Howell in that room? Yeah, and I think there's a decent chance he'd end up winning out of that competition if that were the case. Yeah. Just if you don't, if you don't have a sure thing, just put a lot of arrows in the quiver, I say.
Yeah, and see what hits the target. Howell's got the Orneriness. I got to keep it clean for
Feistiness.
YouTube purposes. Feistiness. Very good.
Or
Very
as
feisty.
or as my mom would say, he's a scrapper. My mom
is a
likes
scrapper.
scrappers. Like she it's funny because he may have moved away from that as a quarterback, but that was one of the reasons she liked Patrick Mahomes way back. Like even like in the 2017 preseason was she said he's a scrapper. You know, like someone who fights for that little extra, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with a guy like
Yeah.
that. And the Broncos could use any sort of help they could possibly get. Rudy does ask who was our favorite quarterback at the Senior Bowl. Mine was still Bo Nix. Going back and watching the practice film again, Mace, you saw an improvement. And it's probably my fault. I went with high expectations for Bo Nix. He did not meet those whatsoever. But based on the practices that we watched, he did get better as the week went on. Still not a guy I'd take at 12. People are overhyping him as a top 10 pick. That's fine. People are overhyping Spencer Rattler as a first-round pick, and that's not going to happen. So Bo Nix is my favorite quarterback at the Senior Bowl with a asterisk, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm concerned about how his processor was under pressure, especially on Wednesday. That second day, there were some things that I saw that concerned me. But so I'd say I did put him in the stock down category in my piece at denversports.com. I'd say only slightly, and I did mention this, and we talked about it. I would like to see him in an environment where there is proper coaching and they were able to work on the timing elements of the offense, because I think the way those practices were structured didn't do him any favors because he's a rhythm and timing quarterback. And how do you get rhythm and timing? You get it with reps. And oh, by the way, you get it in 7-on-7. That's where you lay the foundation for the timing and the rhythm. And he didn't have those reps until Thursday because the coaches on the national team did not know what they were doing in terms of running a practice. Or at least they appeared not to.
Yeah, they need to fix that at the Senior Bowl, doing a disservice for their players there. So, did we see the next Broncos quarterback? Yeah, maybe. The Jimmy Garoppolo stuff is bothering me as well, because I would much rather have Jameis, Jacoby, make a move for Sam Howell. And by the way, Cliff Kingsbury gets hired as their OC, which has people thinking they'll try to get Caleb, because, of course, Cliff worked with Caleb for 1 year with the Trojans.
Yeah, it's in the realm of possibility, but at the same time, I mean, they can't guarantee that they're going to do that, right? I think there are a few things in play. Number one, I think Washington offered a better contract. Number two, with all respect to Antonio Pierce, who I agree with the Raiders' decision to elevate him, but traditionally, interim coaches elevated to the head coaching role operate on thin ice. You remember Romeo Crennel for the Chiefs a dozen years ago. I recall some others like Richard Williamson, Tampa Bay, 1991. The track record on those coaches getting a long leash is not great. Dan Quinn will have much more of a mandate, especially coming in with a new general manager in Adam Peters. So you've got alignment in terms of the GM and the coach setup. I can't blame Cliff Kingsbury for taking Washington over the Raiders, even though Washington can't guarantee Caleb Williams. I don't think this was about Caleb Williams. I think this was about Washington simply offering a better setup than I think the Raiders are right now, one where I think Kingsbury can settle in and be their OC for the next 3 years under Dan Quinn.
Yeah, and I think this is a larger topic, Mace, so I dare bring it up today. But you and I talked on the All-Star road trip, like with NIL, and we're going to see a flood of college coaches coming into this league, and they're going to pick the best landing spots. Kingsbury's best landing spot to become a head coach eventually one day is working underneath Dan Quinn. It's working with the Commanders and whoever they take at number 2.
And if he does that, he's back in the cycle again, because you get number 2 and you're successful with that quarterback, then great job, Cliff. Oh, you've got head coaching experience. Oh, by the way, Kyler Murray did become a Pro Bowler on his watch, did he not? Okay. I mean, Did he learn lessons from that? I think Cliff Kingsbury certainly did. But you mentioned college is going from coaches going from college to the NFL. I mean, how often would you see in the past? Would you have seen a power conference coach like Jeff Hafley at Boston College go to take a coordinator job in the NFL? Right?
It would never happen.
Yes. Welcome to the new age, as Imagine Dragons would say. Right? Thank you.
That's a deep pull list there, Mace. You're going through the playlist on your travels. You're like, what am I listening to? Listen to Imagine Dragons today?
Actually, what made me think of that is I'm covering the CBS press media thing tomorrow, and so that's where their talent is available. And I remember that was a Jim Nantz call as well at the end of a Masters. Because Jim Nantz always kind of works on his ending flourishes, right? Like that was like when he called Final Fours for a long time. One of the things that you sort of love was, okay, North Carolina's about to win. What's he going to say? Is he going to go for the obvious and say something like nothing could be finer or something else, right? So yeah, that's why it was on my mind. Because it's gonna. So that's why my mind drifted to it. I apologize.
Our minds go lots of different places here on Orange and Blue today. And Mace, someone on Facebook was complaining about a quarterback talk. Then don't watch till the end of April. I want everyone to watch and like, comment, share, and all that. But it's like, dude, they got to find a quarterback. Why are we talking about quarterbacks so much? Because they don't have one, and they need two. Honestly, they need a bridge and they need a young guy.
Yeah, and I respect the comment. I want to make that clear. We get a lot of numbers. We have access to a lot of stuff. Cecil in particular is very keyed into the YouTube algorithms. What are the audience numbers telling us about the subject of quarterbacks regarding our show, Cecil?
The number 2 search term behind Denver Broncos is Denver Broncos new quarterback.
Okay, there you go.
So,
that's what the people are saying they want as a collective.
Right.
Individuals may want something different, but the bigger numbers are telling us something about where Broncos country's minds are. And you know what? It's perfectly understandable, and I see that on social media as well. Because you bring up anything, it's like catnip right now. People want to talk about it, and we're sitting here, and I believe 3 weeks from now, Cease, you and I are going to be arriving in Indianapolis, at the scouting combine, another step in this whole process.
Right.
So
here we go again.
Get ready.
I understand the sentiment from some because I just want it solved. I want a young guy, I want a franchise guy, and I want the Broncos to have someone to build around, and let's go. And if it's Payton's guy, let's say it is Michael Pratt or whoever. If that's Payton's guy, I'm riding with him because I just want this thing to end. I want the carousel ride to be over, and I want the Broncos to have that guy you can build around in a league that is quarterback-driven. This team doesn't have one.
Exactly. And, they have Jarrett Stidham. But they don't have somebody that you say is a viable starting quarterback, right? Jarrett Stidham has started 4 games, and the returns have not been great. And, oh, by the way, it's been 5 seasons for him to get to those 4 games. And he had a chance to be the starter in New England in 2020 and don't forget that. Cam Newton was not plan A for the Pats in 2020. They wanted Jarrett Stidham to take that job. He didn't do it. So it's not like he didn't have an opportunity before to seize that job. He couldn't do it. Ben DiNucci started 1 game. Okay. Yeah. Broncos are quarterback hunting.
Yeah, let's talk about another guy that replaced Cam Newton and preview perhaps an interview you're going to get, Mason, Sam Darnold.
Yep. Planning on talking to Sam at some point this week at the 49ers media availability because, look, I'm sure he's focused on right now, but there's going to be an opportunity for him out there. And look, I'll say this. If you're talking about bridge quarterback having some and then drafting a guy, but a Briggs who could be a sturdy Briggs, especially with Sean Payton, and a Briggs who has some upside. I'd say Sam Darnold, right? Yeah. By the way, did you see that thumbs up?
I saw that thumbs up. How'd that get in there? It was on your screen. So somebody's liking it on your screen, or you?
Wait, hang on. Okay, never mind. Because like there are these things now you can put in on when you talk, right? Yes. And if you're on like FaceTime on Apple, it'll show up. Like there's like you can do the heart. Like I do this with my daughter. Like you do the heart thing, and the little hearts come up, and it's like, oh, it's so cute.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Yeah. The more you know, Mace.
Ain't technology grand?
It is fantastic. Final thoughts from first day at the Super Bowl, Mace.
Final thoughts. Well, it's funny, like it's final thoughts on this show, but media night tonight. I'm planning on catching up with Montreal Washington, former Broncos punt returner, and of course, cut at the end of the preseason. The guy I'm most curious to talk to tonight for either team, though, is Randy Gregory, who, of course, from 4 games with the Broncos, diminishing playing time and traded, and now here he is in the Super Bowl. What a long, strange trip it's been over this season for Randy Gregory. What does he think when he looks back on Denver? Does he even want to look back on his time in Denver? Those are some of the things we'll be asking him tonight. When we bump into him over at the media night at Allegiant Stadium.
Media night, Super Bowl. Andrew Mason is there. We got a lot of stuff coming for you on Orange and Blue today, this week. We certainly appreciate you for watching. And Mace, tell them how to do the YouTube things.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you never miss a vid.
That's right.
We appreciate you following. It's the best way to watch the show, know it's coming, know we've gone live, know we've done the show. It's the best way to get there and watch as soon as possible. So
yes,
and YouTube, YouTube is a great experience. Like if you're watching on the app, like on your television, it's just like anything else on TV. I love it.
Yeah, it's fan-flippin-tastic. We appreciate you. He's Andrew Mason. Keep up with him at the Super Bowl on all the socials at Mace Denver. It's Orange and Blue today. No BT is a BFD. Cecil Lammey saying, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.